Considered the worst entry among the main titles, Silent Hill Homecoming is infamous for its lackluster experience, featuring poorly designed combat that lacks the soul and the foundation of past titles, empty levels that punish in exploration by wasting your time and providing few rewards, and a story with potential but is ultimately forgettable due to poor writing and characters devoid of charisma. If you do a quick search on YouTube, you will find many videos talking about those flaws that I just mentioned and even more. The game indeed has a frustrating experience embraced by features that hinder the experience as a whole. But if I say that I found some positives in this game or an explanation for why and how the game turned out to release in this state, this information when pieced together, it actually makes sense and even explain why the game turned out to be so out of touch compared to its successors. Today, I'm here to set aside the critics and explore where the game succeeded and failed, as well as how it could potentially work, taking into account what the developers got right and where they could improve. I will also address its flaws, but the primary objective is to understand the reason behind this troubled development cycle, and consider how this entry could have been a good Silent Hill game. It's worth noting that the upcoming remake of Silent Hill 2 might draw inspiration from this game based on the little information available. So join me as I delve into this entry and examine how and why it earned the title of the worst game in the entire franchise. In my restless dreams,
You shouldn't.
I see that town,
Go away now.
Silent Hill.
Go away. You don't belong here.
You promised me you'd take me there again someday.
Take me
Look at
there
you.
again someday.
Such a feeble
Promise you
I-
never come to Silent
You
Hill.
never did.
People.
I'm alone now
Go away now.
in our special
Go
place,
away now. You cannot
waiting
stay
for you.
here. Cannot stay here.
Do you know what you've done? The gaming trends of the early 2000s were all over the place. New hardware always brought fresh challenges and ambitions for the game developers. They were striving to harness the full potential of the new technology, sometimes even aiming so high that they risked failure. During this era, many developers experimented with various approaches, attempting to revolutionize the gaming landscape. However, only a few games managed to achieve this feat. Resident Evil 4 was one such a game, introducing an action-oriented survival horror experience that shifted away from the classic survival horror formula. It drew inspiration from Western movies, appealing to a broader audience and catapulting the franchise to global success. Resident Evil 4's achievements were so monumental that it served as a catalyst for numerous other games adopting a similar concept. The impact of Resident Evil 4's shift was so profound that it inspired many other games. Naturally, Konami, observing the financial success of this transformation, felt compelled to follow suit. Recognizing the appeal of catering to a more Western audience, they considered implementing a similar strategy for their own IP. Furthermore, as Konami witnessed declining sale numbers for games developed by Team Silent, the original developers of Silent Hill franchise, they lost faith in the team. One of the most prominent reasons for Silent Hill's downfall, etched in people's mind, is Konami's decision to entrust the IP to a Western studio rather than an Eastern one. Culture has a significant impact on how media is created, and following the success of Resident Evil in appealing to a broader audience, Konami chose to hand the IP to Double Helix Studios after they pitched the idea for a new Silent Hill game, which at the time was known as Silent Hill 5: Flesh and Blood.
We had an opportunity to pitch a Silent Hill game to Konami. I was at the Collective, and I was pretty much the first original person on the project, along with a few others, John Manley being one of them. And we came up with a brief and a PowerPoint deck that sort of spelled out a potential vision for what we would do with the Silent Hill franchise. And from there, we got positive feedback on our pitch, and we signed the project and started pre-production.
The team was put together at a time where actual Silent Hill fans, especially one of the writers, Patrick J. Doody, who not only is a fan, but also played and replayed the entire franchise at the time just to get the trust from Konami so they could work on a new title. This documentary shed light on numerous questions and criticisms surrounding the game, particularly regarding its infamy due to various shortcomings. While several factors play a role in this outcome, it's crucial to emphasize the profound passion each developer had for the series.
Anyways, we met with Konami, and the meeting was not necessarily about writing the game or what we thought about the game. We didn't know too much about what Silent Hill at the time, Silent Hill 5, Flesh and Blood, little tidbit of information was called. We didn't know much about what the game was, but they were like, just come in and meet with Konami. And they said, and make sure you're kind of versed up on the lore of Silent Hill. It'd been a while since I'd played 4. So the weekend before, I went and got a PlayStation 2 because I already had an Xbox. I got all the games, and I played all 4 games again in the course of 4 days from beginning to end, and refresh myself with everything. So when we went into that meeting with Konami, they kind of tried to, knock down what we knew about the lore. And at that point, it was like going into a bar trivia. We were unshakable. You couldn't rattle us. We knew everything about Silent Hill because it was so fresh in our heads. Everything from Toluca Lake, Seal of Metatron, any of the weird, anything that was small, big, large. So that was sort of how we ended up getting the gig. They offered us a job after that meeting, which, by the way, I don't know if Chris remembers, it was 3 hours with that guy from Konami.
As an artist myself that also works in an agency, continuing the work of others is no easy task. Trying to grasp the original intent behind a piece is very challenging, especially back in 2005 when resources like YouTube video essays were not as readily available. Taking on a complex IP like Silent Hill, understanding every facet of it while coming from a different culture is a nightmarish puzzle. It's like to create a new puzzle with the pieces you have, knowing in one match the original. Konami's lack of clear guidance added to the difficulty. Producers kept many details in the dark and only provided feedback after seeing the demos. The briefing was unclear, leaving the developers unsure about how much originality they could introduce. Working with a beloved title already solidified in the market made the task even more challenging. It's akin to redesigning a character like Leon from Resident Evil 2 with minimal information beyond the game itself. As an artist, you need substantial information to craft a character that the game by itself doesn't directly reveal most of the time. Given the unclear guidance and Konami's producers lacking in precise vision, Double Helix Studio faced an almost impossible task. They were the first Western developers to create a Silent Hill entry without its original creators, except for one, whom we'll discuss later in the video. For now, let's explore what Homecoming is and how it unfolded before delving deeper into the game's development. Yes, so we're gonna play this game the intended way, the way that they got released on Steam. I didn't download any patches, any full screen mods, anything that allowed the game to run smoother, nothing. So be aware, might look weird. Brightness, just I usually don't like to, fuck it, let's go. So 30 FPS got me, okay, the game crashed. That's amazing. Okay, we actually, let's, we have to have a crash counter in the corner. Wait, we have to. Okay, we need text crash counter. I need to have one because this is gonna be frequent. Before we start, I need to state that I played the Steam version and my god, it is really complicated. There are a lot of fan-made patches that you can download to make the experience a bit more bearable, but I was determined to play this game how the developers intended to be played. So, 30 FPS and a lot of random freezes. They are not going easy. Oh my god. The game game! And of course, some crashes. We're gonna speedrun this little part that I have to wrap it up the string. It just crashed again! I cannot believe it. The game crashed again. Well, now that I have that out of the way, let's get started. Compared to his more cryptic and mysterious predecessors, Silent Hill Homecoming features a more straightforward plot. You step into the shoes of Alex Shepard, a military that got discharged and now is returning to his hometown, Shepard's Glen. The game begins with a nightmarish sequence in a hospital where Alex is restrained on a gurney amidst the chaos of other patients being killed in the background.
What's going on there? Hey, where are you taking me? No! Hey! No!
Sorry, that was funny. After this noisy and unsettling introduction, a doctor left us tied to a gurney in one of the surgery rooms in the hospital, but was brutally murdered by a large blade right after leaving the room. After that, the first sign of using gaming trends from early 2000s. Yes, QuickTime events. Everyone, friend. Oh, QuickTime event! Yes. Okay, that's a great start. This section serves as an introduction to how the game operates, covering movement, puzzles, exploration, combat, and more. However, it's also where you quickly notice the game's stiffness and lack of polish. The absence of polish becomes glaring evident right from the very first dialogue, with a monotone delivery that feels unusual and is not in line with the Silent Hill aesthetic. The dialogue in this game comes across as disconnected. There is a lack of emotion, and while one might argue that this is how Silent Hill's dialogue typically functions, here it simply feels bland, awkward, and oddly assembled. You are left without any clues or subtle tags to delve into the characters' motivations or backgrounds. The cutscenes here are also really weirdly animated, with some of the most outrageous expressions that can turn a supposedly terrifying situation into a hilarious one. Oh. Fuck you, bitch. Oh, quick time event. Quick time event. Look at her face. Look at her face. What the fuck? Oh my god, really? Oh my goodness, what the fuck is this? Oh my shit, lord. What the fuck was that? Also, you can see some objects clipping through or weird mouth movements with weird staring. There are many moments that you will be questioning the animation department, but they actually talked about it in this documentary.
We were not happy with the cinematics either. Unfortunately, they came in way late and the quality just wasn't there. And we ended up having to go back through and fix a lot of the jarring stuff. There was too much. We never could get to it all. Like one of the things that still bugs me today is if you watch the game, a lot of Alex's peripherals, like his flashlight and his chain, don't move. They're just stationary. And there's a few shots in cinematics that actually do have movement. Because I went in there and I started to fix some of that stuff, but like I said, it was just too many. Never got to it all. And then a lot of it was, I don't know, kind of unfinished. And they're just probably, because they cut so much, they were probably trying to piece together a lot of those things, and there were probably reshoots that had to be done, and it just was too much for the time and budget.
Those flaws in the very first few minutes of the game extends to its entirety. As you progress through the story, you will find many other characters that are also forgettable. They don't offer anything interesting or intriguing for you to care about them. They just exchange some lines with Alex at one point and maybe appear right in the final sections of the game, revealing to be actually evil. But the twist never lands because there was never a build-up, a reason. There were no expectations set throughout the campaign for me to be excited by a possible twist. All the outcomes fell short right as they get revealed, but some plot points still intrigued me, especially about Alex's background, where as you finally arrive at his hometown and talk to his mom, you notice that there are many pictures of your father, brother, and mother, but no photos of you whatsoever. There was the only moment where the story actually caught my attention, but it never explores or expands those same interesting themes as well as the other games did. Silent Hill has consistently featured a central theme that weaves everything together. The town or setting is intrinsically tied to its characters, and it takes shape based on their psyches. This profound connection between setting and characters means that the game conveys the depth of its characters without excessive dialogue. Every corner of the foggy town tells the characters' stories without the need of words, and everything serves a purpose. The enemies in the game are born from the protagonist's inner darkness, and delving into the origins of these monsters adds to the game's twisted nature. The early entries in the series excel at storytelling, particularly in the visual aspect. In Silent Hill Homecoming, while the developers aimed to capture this concept, they unfortunately fell short when it came all together. You can see that Team Double Helix were passionate about the series. They knew and understood the visuals, the sounds, the setting. They did their research, and I have to give the credit where credit's due. You can see amazing details when you go to the other world, the industrial sounds and background as the walls and the ground peels off the painting as the other world emerges right in front of her eyes. At the same time, this was some impressive technical features that, for me, until this day, looks really cool. Seeing the game world shifts right in front of your eyes never gets old.
Of course. Oh. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. This was the first and the only time that something happened with outside a cutscene. This is really cool. This should happen more often. If those things happen outside of the cutscene more often, the game will be so much better.
They also got a lot of inspiration from the first movie, which is considered by many one of the most faithful gaming movie adaptations to ever exist. And is a valid statement considering that you can see how well they capture not only the visuals but the atmosphere, which is a key feature in a Silent Hill game.
Right, I guess. Oh, this guy is basically cut in half. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, girls. This is really nice, by the way. I like that. This is like really nice.
Despite knowing how the assets work, how they work, and their reasons, Team Double Helix lacked something that made Silent Hill be Silent Hill. You can reproduce the fog, the monsters with the meanings, and even the unsettling story, but the atmosphere needs to be key. Homecoming indeed possesses an atmosphere, an empty, foggy town with eerie characters and lurking monsters. The thick fog, which obscures our vision, creates a constant sense of anticipation, as if something could jump out of any moment.
Let's go. Oh. Oh, I couldn't. Oh, bitch. Kill. Where? Who's next? Come. Oh, you miss.
However, despite having all the right elements, the game's atmosphere falls short of fully conveying this unsettling feeling. I like to think that the devs understood the Silent Hill aesthetic, but didn't understand horror. What set Silent Hill apart was its extensive use of psychological horror in many encounters. It often took the familiar and make it uncomfortable, like seeing in wheelchairs parked in a tight alleys or hearing children's sounds in a school despite not seeing any.
The school itself is creepy, because again it's taken the normal and made it abnormal. So let's just dive into this much more, because it's one of the best ways to do horror. Seeing something horrific like a mutilated body or cosmic horror can be scary, but there's also enough of a disconnect between it and your actual everyday experience that you never truly immerse yourself in the horrific situation, because you think, yeah, it's scary, but it's not going to happen to me. Silent Hill goes for a different approach. Instead of showing you something completely supernatural, it takes something natural, what you already know, what you've likely experienced, and presents it in a wrong, twisted way. Like a hospital bed in an alleyway. You've probably seen a hospital bed and an alleyway, but not together. And it's the presentation of the normal in an abnormal way which makes the horror hit much closer to home.
This twist on the familiar is an effective way to invoke fear. Additionally, the game employed cinematic camera angles in some sections, expertly guiding players' perspective to show precisely what the developers intended while concealing what lay ahead. This technique, like the town's fog, leveraged the hardware limitations of the time to create fear and play with players' perspectives. While previous titles in the series excel at using psychological horror, both in gameplay and writing, Homecoming fell short in this regard. Simply replicating the visual aspects of Silent Hill isn't enough. To truly capture what makes Silent Hill feel and play like Silent Hill, one must delve deeper into the intricate layers of horror that the series is known for.
What did you do? Where's Joshua?
Oh, okay. Hello, Dorito Head.
But one department truly knocked out of the park is the exceptional music, composed by none other than Akira Yamaoka, the composer for Tin Silent and the Silent Hill series. Silent Hill's music has always played a vital role in tying everything together, serving as the heart of the series. Akira consistently delivers a melancholic soundtrack that accompanies the eerie and somber moments, elevating the atmosphere by tenfold or more when the right track is paired with the right scene. However, there are moments where the choice of music may not quite align with the situation at hand. For instance, when you are locked in combat against a horde of monsters, a melancholic and relaxing sound may start playing in the background, causing confusion among players.
Are you gonna jump? Oh, wait. I'm doing good. I went out to help move furniture again. Oh, hell yeah. The music doesn't exactly... Dude, the music is really weird. It really doesn't fit. Oh, wow. Okay. I got so many... I think I heard the faint sound of water lapping on the shore. The source seems to be coming from just beyond this door. Why there's this song starts to fucking play out of the blue? This song doesn't make any sense here. What is this space? And it just stops. You can hear the drums. And then it just stops. It just stops. Why?
It's unfortunate because Homecoming boasts some of the best original soundtracks in the series, in my opinion. However, they are somewhat undermined by the inconsistent implementation throughout the game's campaign.
Then we go back. Wait. Every time that I go back here, the music starts playing. So if I just go back...
You're going to stop?
Yeah. Okay, this is actually funny.
Now that we talk about the atmosphere, I think it is a great time to also analyze a bit about the level design, which also plays a major role in a horror game, especially if the game has a semi-open world, or at least tries to be a semi-open world. On Homecoming, the game always gives you the false sensation of being a semi-open world game. Whenever you pick up a map and open it, you are greeted by the potential sheer scale of the environment, presented by many possible doors that could lead into various other rooms so you can explore. But what will usually happen is that you're going to go through all the doors, hallways, streets, and they will be simply blocked, and the one and only way available will be the only way to go. Despite giving many options to choose, in the end you're just going to end up wasting your time exploring every corner and finding nothing most of the time.
So before we go back, I want to go up. Of course I do. Let's see what they have here. Wait. No fucking way. There's nothing. No. Who designed this? For what purpose? What? Why? What is the purpose of this?
And if you find to happen something, usually is a health drink or a drawing that is not as important as it looks, with the exception when you find the sniper rifle.
I have gun. Okay. This is a boss fight?
The town in Homecoming feels empty and lifeless, as it should be in a Silent Hill game, but not in the right way. While you can sometimes hear the monsters screeching in the distance, which adds tension to some sections, the sound design can be a bit off, with moments where it becomes messy. There's even a section where upon entering a room, an annoyingly loud sound pierces through your headphones and persists until you leave the room. The problem is, you need to solve a puzzle in this room, and the constant painful noise doesn't make the task any easier.
It is. Oh, so I need to go underground in another building to go through the... Oh my god, this is loud! Holy hell! Why? Put the digger into collect water and fire. My Jesus fucking Christ! Oh my god, what the fuck are you?
Some levels can be really pretty, especially when you are in the otherworld sections, but the town levels are mostly the same. And this is a huge problem, especially considering that this game takes place in two towns, Shepherd's Glen and Silent Hill. The problem is that they are both presented in the same way, same color palettes, same structure, same monsters, and even the same fog. There are no distinctions between them. You only know that you are in Silent Hill because the game shows you a big sign. So there's no huge excitement for being on Silent Hill because it feels the same. The hotel section is another thing that borrowed from the movie that fell really off. It was a pretty punishing level, didn't add much to the story and hurted the pace of the game, and also had one of the most controversial scenes of the entire franchise.
Yeah, I remember this one. shit.
After making its debut in Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head quickly became one of the most beloved monsters in gaming history, and perhaps even in the entire horror industry. His imposing presence, accompanied by distorted music and eerie sounds, adds to his enigmatic and terrifying aura. Even to this day, many fans remain curious about the true nature of this character, and the fact that it remains shrouded in mystery only amplifies its horror. The character's creator Masahiro Ito, the concept artist from Team Silent and the mind behind Pyramid Head creation, has expressed frustration over the way Konami has used Pyramid Head as a mascot. Originally designed to represent James Sunderland's guilt, in Silent Hill 2, his subsequent appearances have primarily been for marketing purposes. If it has Pyramid Head on it, it sells.
When the movie was actually hugely influential on a lot of the game. The nurse design of the game came right out of what the nurse's design was in the film. Pyramid Head being so seminal in the series at this point and being such a major part of the film, it was just always going to be that Pyramid Head was going to make an appearance in the game. It was not something we pushed for, and we just figured out where and when Pyramid Head would appear, and it only made sense to tie it to Adam's kind of journey going over into Silent Hill to stop everything, that Pyramid Head, for better or for worse, was like, kind of there to stop him as his own kind of, whatever. The shepherds are complicit in part of this horror that goes on in Shepherd's Glen. So Adam trying to stop them, his past just ultimately catches up with them.
It's interesting because there was mixed feelings. I'd say about half the team was really excited to bring Pyramid Head in. Half of the team did not like it because they thought it shouldn't be in this game.
Quote, I don't want to blame Konami for this. I really think it was a producer trying to leverage Pyramid Head's popularity. He was in the movie, and I understand why he was in the movie. I think it was trying to make Pyramid Head the mascot because he had kind of become the mascot. Take yourself back to 2005. If you saw Pyramid Head, you'd be excited, but you knew he wasn't going to be in the game. Like, he was the brand mascot, he was in the kart racer, but that didn't mean he was in every game. I really think the producer was trying to leverage that because in the pitch for Homecoming, it was like, the difference in our game is we've got Pyramid Head. Like, hey, he's back. End quote.
While the character's design remains captivating and faithful to his original incarnation, it lacks the deeper thematic context of its debut appearance. During my research, I came across the Gaming Muse channel, which provides insightful and well-structured content. In one of her videos, she delved into Pyramid Head's role in this game, suggesting that despite its questionable lore consistency, his presence serves a purpose. Please go watch her video right now for more in-depth analysis on the topic. Here, I would just explain the summon of it so we can understand why he's here, but please go check her video. I strongly recommend. Basically, her explanation on his presence is that in this game, the story involves Shepherd's Glen being haunted by a god that required sacrifices so the town could thrive without being cursed forever. Each family that resided in the town needed to sacrifice their own children to the god Samael, but they needed to kill them in a specific way. For example, the mayor's son needed to be buried alive. Dr. Fitch's daughter, Scarlet, was cut up, and so on. Each boss in this game is a representation on how those children were killed, and if you notice, those same bosses always goes and kills the member of the family that was responsible for killing their child. By the end of the game, we discovered why Alex's family had cast him out. They attempted to distance themselves from him to prevent both his suffering and the family's ultimate fate. Alex had been chosen as the sacrificial victim. However, as the game unfolds, we learn that Alex accidentally caused his brother's death by pushing him out of a boat they were in. This unintended act disrupted the sacrificial plans, angering Samael and leading to a curse on the town that would endure forever. Following the concept that each monster represents a different child's death, Pyramid Head emerges as Alex's personal manifestation, with his large knife which bears a resemblance to the military weapon Alex uses throughout the game. Pyramid Head mirrors the other monsters in seeking retribution for their children's deaths. Alex, in this contest, plays the role of the judge. Much like Pyramid Head, he confronts the other family members who were responsible for killing their own children, making Alex the embodiment of guilt for the town and serving as a haunting reminder of the terrible deeds they have all committed. If they created another monster instead of Pyramid Head, maybe it would have worked much better. Because we have a really interesting idea that could have been polished, and I confess that after those analyses, I can see this being way more relatable to the first games of the franchise. It's a shame that it didn't work as intended. Even the devs from Team Double Helix didn't want Pyramid Head to be in the game. They are really proud of their creations, except for Pyramid Head. They knew how he worked for being fans, but sadly Konami's producer at the time forced him into the game because he appeared on the movie, so they needed to have him into the new entry because the public will love it. So they really tried to come up with something despite knowing that anything they tried would be wrong. Their honesty on this theme was really respectable, and considering the consequences, they just tried to work with what they got at the time. And you will see more things like this happening just in a bit. For now, let's talk about the other monsters.
I think a lot of that was we knew that he was extremely popular character within the franchise. We wanted to take, do our take on it. I mean, it's not exactly the film version, but there's definitely a heavy inspiration on that from the film. The big difference for us on that was how we personalized it. Was the sword was very much built off of the knife that was Alex's, right, or his father's. So there was a personal connection, and I think that's the one thing we wanted to do, was make sure that whatever manifestations of these creatures were, they were speaking psychologically to Alex and his mental state.
Quote, after playing the game, we had conversations like, get Pyramid Head out of the game. He shouldn't be there. He looks different. He looks like the movie Pyramid Head. He doesn't look like the game Pyramid Head. Some would say that his knife looked like a military knife, like, hey, that's the right track, good job building this monster after the characters, but it shouldn't be Pyramid Head. End quote.
I believe our designers figured out a way to kind of make it make sense, but some people didn't agree with the way it was, and they just kind of thought that shouldn't be in the game. And so to this day, there's mixed, feelings on that. I think we did a good job on making him look and feel like Pyramid Head. I myself probably would have kept him out.
While the nurses in Pyramid Head were clearly used for marketing purposes, the other monsters in the game, particularly the bosses, offer unique and intriguing designs. Each monster carries significance, akin to the original games. However, the development process took an interesting turn as they were designed first, and then the writers were tasked with coming up with a purpose for them later. This approach sometimes results in monsters that may not feel as unique as one would expect in Silent Hill game, but come across as somewhat generic.
We had to go through for all the creatures, and we had to write up what they were, what their strengths were, kind of do a stat thing for them, and then what they meant, what their metaphor was. And it was interesting because a lot of them, they were just designed creatures. They just looked cool. This one was, we're gonna have some creature that looks like a giant spider or whatever. But then we would have to retcon why it looked like that. We'd be like, oh, it's a spider because it represents all the thoughts that Alex's mother has when she does this. So we would have to try to give them all metaphor importance and why they looked that way, which was kind of fun trying to do it backwards like that. But we had to create all of that, and define what these creatures were, because in the end, all the creatures are really supposed to be demons or manifestations of your own guilt and your own inner turmoil.
Another notable aspect that exemplifies the team's misunderstanding of horror is how they introduce new enemies. In this game, each new enemy type is always presented in a cutscene. Before you encounter a new type of enemy, a cutscene plays to introduce a monster, and then you are immediately thrust into combat. This approach lacks the tension and the mystery that is often essential to build in fear and suspense. The predictability of this pattern becomes evident, and it takes away the element of surprise, leaving players with no sense of build-up or anticipation when encountering new creatures. And of course, a real quick side note is how the game is riddled with cutscenes. Sometimes you watch a cutscene and after 1 or 2 minutes later there's another. It keeps breaking the tension over and over again, taking control out of the player, killing any sense of fear. The true spectacle lies in the boss battles. Their designs brilliantly convey the psychological madness that is a hallmark of Silent Hill. As mentioned earlier, each boss symbolizes how a specific child was killed. For example, there is the eerie asphyxia, embodying Margaret's Holloway's daughter, who died of suffocation, and Sepulchre, representing the mayor's son, who was buried alive. These bosses not only carry great lore significance, but also boasts meticulously crafted animations with unsettling movement that weighten the unpredictability of their attacks. Despite the game's reputation as the worst game in the series by many, it still managed to deliver one of the best boss fights of the entire series, Scarlet. She is the embodiment of Dr. Fitch's daughter, who was killed by being cut up. The compact arena shrouded in darkness adds to the fear of this battle, and as you damage Scarlet, her porcelain exterior begins to crack and peel away, revealing the gruesome flesh underneath. This not only provides feedback on the damage you are inflicting, but also visually reflects the progression of the fight, making it a highly satisfying boss to kill.
One thing I think we did nail is the bosses. To this day, I think Silent Hill 5 probably has some of the best bosses in any Silent Hill game. I was very fortunate. I was a senior animator at the time, and I got to work on the Blood Boss, which was one of the favorites of not just any boss in the game, but any boss in the entire Silent Hill series. So that was very lucky for me, I guess. I really enjoyed working on that particular character. As animators, you love this stuff because it's weird type of creatures that you never really get to animate those type of things, because you're trying to think of designs that just don't work. Like the concept artists and the models would constantly be piecing together things on purpose that normally just wouldn't go with each other. And then as an animator, you have to figure out, how do you make this move? And then you have to figure out not only how do you make a move, but how do I make a move that's going to scare or shock the player? And that is a very tricky thing, because what scares and shocks one person may not scare and shock another person.
The gameplay feels... behold... gameplay.
Oh my god. Okay. F for flashlight. Oh, dude, the sensitivity. Look at the sensitivity. Oh my freaking. This is pretty mid. Oh, really? Fuck. Look at the sensitivity. Dude, I can do a 360. Dude, we gotta fucking do it. Look at that. Look at the moves. Dude, I swear to God. Wait, can I just... Dude, look at my hands. I'm literally just doing. Let me see if I got it right. I'm just doing this. Can you see me do something? I'm just doing like a really soft movement, and I can do a whole 360. Like, what the fuck is that, dude? This doesn't. Oh wow, I can roll. Oh my god. I have to remember, you guys, this is not dude, this is Souls-like. Look at this. This is Elden Ring. Mom, we have Elden Ring at home. Elden Ring at home. Oh my god, this is gonna be great. This is survival horror, by the way. Oh my god, I'm loving this so much already. You guys don't know how much I'm loving it.
After some research, I learned that the studio was not really good at making combat, and they actually acknowledged that, even stating that there's supposed to be a different intro section where Alex fights some enemies, but due to the budget and knowing that focusing on combat would have not been a great idea to the lack of experience at the time, they scrapped the idea out. We can summon Silent Hill Homecoming combat as a survival horror Souls-like, but harder and less rewarding. First, to enter in combat, you need to lock on into an enemy so you are able to perform your attacks. You can actually use light and heavy attacks, and mixing between both to create combos that can do more damage. Each melee weapon reacts differently, the knife being really fast and doing less damage, while the axe, despite being super slow, can kill enemies much faster. After playing through the whole game, I can say that you can pretty much use the knife for almost every enemy in the game because it is so fast that you can basically stun lock the enemy until he dies.
Oh. Yeah, fuck you, because I can stun lock you, bitch. I'm just gonna stun lock you. I have the knife. You are no match for my knife. Okay. Oh. Oh shit. Oh my god. Double tap. I love that the other guy's just waiting for me to kill his friend. Oh my god. Look at this, dude. I'm literally just clicking. I'm literally just... Oh my god, this is so... Just need to pry. Yeah, say goodbye, but you're not killing her. So it's kind of not saying goodbye.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, he was just there waiting. Oh no, he's not. Wait, I'm so confused. Dude, if I stun lock you... Oh my god, I'm gonna stun lock you, right? I'm gonna stun lock you. Oh my god, I cannot believe I'm gonna stun lock you. Oh my Jesus Lord. Oh, this game. This is the peak of boss combat. Oh my freaking goodness. This is peak of boss fight, dude.
You also now have the ability to dodge, and if you do it correctly, you will be able to do a counter attack. So basically, you just attack, dodge, and counter. Same thing for all the monsters, but depending on the enemy you're facing, you simply cannot dodge his attack by using the pipe or the axe. Only the knife. It doesn't seem like it, but it feels that Alex's hitboxes changes for each weapon that you were equipped. So sometimes you're going to dodge an enemy attack using the pipe and then you get hit. However, if you equip your knife and do the exact same dodge in the exact same time, you will easily dodge. I don't know if there is a really frame-perfect timing here, but it is really clunky. I can see the possibility of mastering those mechanics, but I don't feel they are satisfying enough compared to many other games that also has a similar combat system. Also, the game doesn't incentivize this combat whatsoever. You will quickly realize that engaging in combat will always lead you to waste resources due to the poor combat mechanics. So you will start avoiding monsters, which is surprisingly easy. You can just run past 80% of the enemies in the game. There are no reason to fight most of the time. The enemies don't drop any items or resources, and if you decided to engage, you will likely get hit, and the combat is just not satisfying. The feedback that you get from hitting an enemy is so lacking that you cannot feel the punch of your attack. The weapons has no kickback, no recoil, or something visual to state the punch of the bullet and how damaging it was for the enemy to take that shot. Even the shotgun has no presence, despite being crazy overpowered and killing enemies with just few shots.
Game 7. I have a shotgun. Okay, you're dead. Where's the other one?
Despite having amazing bosses, fighting them is just weird. You cannot say if you are doing damage or doing something wrong most of the time, except for Scarlet. I didn't know if I was hitting the enemy until he all of a sudden died. It was so weird and anticlimactic.
So with the knife I can dodge. Yeah, the knife I can dodge. Okay, so the knife attack is dodgeable. Okay. Am I doing damage? I can hear hitting him, but I don't have feedback. I don't think I'm doing damage, not gonna lie. Oh, I was doing damage. This is such a weird boss fight. Did I kill him? I did. Wait, what? Like its predecessor, Silent Hill Homecoming also has multiple endings, but the problem is that it's really easy to get a quote-unquote joke ending in your first playthrough. Let me explain. Throughout the game's campaign, you will encounter cutscenes that prompt you to choose dialogue options. These choices have the potential to entirely alter the ending you receive. However, what's frustrating is that even if you select what seems like the most plausible option for the situation, you can still end up with a bizarre or unsatisfying ending. In my case, my first playthrough resulted in the ER ending, which left a sour taste in my mouth. It felt completely out of place in the game's atmosphere, almost like a bad joke with a poorly timed punchline. Oh, he's the patient to the room 206.
What are you doing?
Okay.
Was this a dream? Is Joshua okay? It's not working. I didn't go anywhere? No, Alex. And you won't be going anywhere until you can start to accept reality and responsibility.
What?
Well, so it talked about basically how the entire game feels and how it was my experience, but why it turned out to be such a bad game despite having developers that were big fans of the series. Being a fan doesn't mean that you can create something up to its standards. You have to really grasp the genre as a whole, and just by watching the behind-the-scenes documentary, you can grasp how they enjoyed the games but weren't used to the genre, which is a key factor for the situation. As I stated earlier, this lack of knowledge resulted in great art direction with great and interesting designs, but they were poorly implemented due to Konami's producers' vague demands and also lack of knowledge of the horror's foundations and what truly makes Silent Hill scary. It had a vessel, but there's no soul to it. One aspect frequently criticized in reviews is the story and its perceived poor quality. However, after watching the documentary, I gain a better appreciation for the considerable effort put into the writing. It's evident in the extensive background information for each character, along with pages of lore inspired by past games. The team went to a great length to capture the essence of a true Silent Hill game and conduct a thorough research. The issue arose during the development process when the writers and designers didn't collaborate closely. As the game took shape, many elements had to be cut to accommodate the design levels. When the writing team revised the project, they were taken aback by the substantial content that had been removed. With limited budget and time, they had to address the plot holes and make sense of the story with the remaining pieces, despite the numerous gaps and missing content. To make things even worse, the management team was changed during the final months of development, and one of the designers that left the project got a lot of his levels scrapped, mostly being puzzles, which in this game are okay. They are simple and straightforward, and some of them, if you don't know the answer, you can just brute force it until you get the right combination.
So let's do this order. Something different? No, I guess. Okay, so we try all the combinations. So let's put the Pyramid Head one first and just switch between those two. Maybe something happened. No, it didn't happen. So those two are out. We get this one, and then we switch between them to see if something happens. Nothing happens either. So probably This one here is the first. Might be this is the last. Now I got it. I didn't understand the thing. Okay, I feel bad for doing like this because I feel like I cheated.
It's just sad because Silent Hill 1 and 2 had some of the most memorable puzzles in gaming history. So here it was a huge step down, but seeing that most of them got cut, maybe those ones were really good. Who knows?
Much of David Fried's work was also changed through development after he left the project.
I don't think any of them made it into the game is the problem. Because there's one for the monument pillar where you spell out Fitch using these tiles, these triangular tiles that create teeth that clamp down. No, it doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, I think all of these were cut. I think literally everything I did was cut. I had an attic puzzle. It was sliding furniture. So as the player pushes the lounge chair to the bottom of the stairs, where the chain is dangling, it will automatically lock into place. Alex will step up on the chair, but he can't quite reach the chain. He has to go back and forth into the nightmare world. Basically, at that point, there was a way to control the way to transfer back and forth. But basically, there was this way to transfer back and forth between. For some of these puzzles, there would have been a way to transfer back and forth between normal world and nightmare world, and that would have allowed you to complete certain puzzles that you couldn't complete in one of them.
In the end, the issue didn't seem to be solely about handling the IP to Western developers, but rather a lack of cohesive collaboration within the team. They had a talent group, but it appeared they weren't working harmoniously. Their schedule was notably unconventional, with the writers having to come back to craft lore for elements created by the design team. It felt a bit like a college project where each member had their role and put their individual spin on it. However, when it came time to present the project, it all fell apart when the different parts were combined. Alongside Konami producers not understanding their own IP, it didn't help either. Those devs had a phenomenal opportunity in their hands and a lot of pressure from everyone, to Konami higher-ups to the community. And you can see if they had more time or even work more close to Konami and their team, they totally had the potential of pulling one of the best Silent Hill games. Imagine how much the story would have been better if it didn't got cut, if they wrote the enemy's lore first, so then they could be designed, if they actually created something to take place of Pyramid Head. How more disturbing the plot could have got if they had the proper time and budget. I think despite all the troubled development, it is really nice to see the devs sharing how proud they still are talking about this game. It might not be the best game ever, but still got some love from other players. Despite the significant backlash, the game has managed to attract a fanbase worldwide. Some players consider it their entry point into the Silent Hill series, particularly since it's one of the easiest titles to access on Steam, even though the PC port is notoriously bad and often requires fan patches for improvement. Despite all its shortcomings, the game still holds a certain level of importance. Konami's mishandling of the Silent Hill IP remains perplexing, given its status as one of the most beloved and well-documented franchises in the industry. I hope that one day Konami can realize the significance of this IP and revisit with the same passion that the homecoming developers had when creating it. It's heartwarming to see them smiling when discussing their creation, knowing how important it was to them. Despite all its flaws, I have fun playing it, and I don't think it's as bad as some other games I've played. I've certainly encountered worse. Oh, I did. I hope this video has changed your view on Homecoming. While it was not an excuse for delivering a half-baked game, it's essential not to place the entire blame on the developers. They had the potential, but numerous circumstances hindered the development, and it's disheartening to see. This has shifted my perspective when it comes to critiquing a game. Instead of simply labeling a piece of garbage, we can seek to understand why it turned out the way it did. This enables us to provide constructive criticism to the right parties. Developers often work within the confines of a company's schedule, and they are not always entirely to blame. Many factors come into play, especially when working in a large team on an important project. There's so much that can happen behind the scenes. Things can go wrong, but they can also go right. Game development is a process with tight deadlines. Despite the final outcome, I appreciate the efforts of Team Double Helix. I hope they get the chance to work on another exciting IP they're passionate about it, but this time with better teamwork and communication. It's essential to deliver a well-polished product that isn't hindered by a lack of experience, communication, or team coordination.
Crazy things like that. So that's probably one of my favorite memories is just that and then also just seeing fans' reactions to, like, even though maybe the game wasn't as well received as some of the other ones, they still have fun seeing the creatures and whatnot. And
I played all the way through it, and then I played it with some friends. It was like first time to play like this really cool game that I worked on. I thought it was super cool. I was actually bummed that we didn't make another one.
I really enjoyed the collaboration. I know that there's times when we all disagreed on what it was going to be, but we would talk through all sorts of like crazy ideas, and then you come in the next week and there'd be a drawing of it on the wall, and that was like a really, really cool thing to get to see that stuff come to life. But I think the coolest part of the entire process was just playing the game at the end. And even though some things did get changed, and there was, even from the time we finished working, there were changes that were made after that you play the game and say, oh, when do they change that? But when you make something you write something for film or television, and you get to watch it, and that's a really, really cool process. This was getting to not just watch, but also interact with something that you had written. And over the course of a long period of time, because I'm terrible at these games, so it would take me, I don't know how long it took me, a week or two to play the game. And each time you get through something, you discover something, and then you get to see a scene that you wrote. And then a day later, you get to go do something and see a puzzle that you wrote. And the extensive amount of stuff that we got to write and the whole world that we got to build, I think that was some of the really, really cool stuff that you don't normally get to do when you're working in TV or film.
What a better way to begin my reviews of Silent Hill games than with this one, right? I've always wanted to create a Silent Hill video, and Homecoming seemed like the perfect starting point, especially considering the potential similarities it might have with the long-awaited Silent Hill 2 remake. But of course, it's just a guess. I can't wait to play it myself, but for now, I want to thank each and every single one of you that watched the whole thing until now. Thanks for taking some of your time to spend listening to me talking about my passion about games. If you want to support me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with other people that might also enjoy. Also, I usually stream those gameplays as you could see in this video. So if you want to, maybe watch what the next game will be, stay tuned to my Twitch. Thanks again for being here. Stay awesome, stay safe, and don't forget.
So it's kind of not saying goodbye.
Oh, hi, Mark.